I think we have to be okay with the understanding that, and really listen when I say this, not all relationships are meant to be forever. There are very few things in life that are meant to be forever. And if you have that, you got to hang on to it.
Don't settle. And I wish this was not the case, but it is. And it doesn't mean that you can't ever see these people again. It just means that you are not going to be able to have them as a core true few who you are in the trenches with, because maybe they don't want to go to war, so to speak, in this analogy.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode, number 1055. Where are you holding yourself back right now? Today, for episode number 1056, why is your circle your circle? I have to touch on this, Alan. I said I was going to go right into the story, but you changed your shirt and you changed the color of the liquid you're drinking. Was that on purpose?
No. So the liquid is BCAs. Before it was a Zoa in a glass. The shirt was on purpose. The shirt was on purpose.
The shirt was on purpose. Well, I knew the shirt was on purpose, but I was like, wow, this dude is next level. If he changed his drink, that's some stuff right there. If you're listening, Alan changes his shirt when we do multiple episodes during the same day. I have to start doing that. I got a haircut, so this shirt's covered in hair. It's a whole thing. But his drink is different than the last episode we recorded. So now you are fully caught up. Okay. So why is your circle your circle? I've told this on the podcast before, but I really want to have an honest conversation about this topic and about the thought process behind it. So I was dating a girl, this was probably, 4 years ago, however many years ago it was. And this girl had not met my friends yet. And I said, okay, you're going to come over this weekend. My buddies are going to be here. It's going to be awesome. I said, so one of my buddies, he's the most respectful dude in the world. He's funny. You're going to love him. He's just grateful to meet you because he loves meeting people that I'm dating. Like, that's just his thing. He wants to be a big part of my life. Just an awesome dude. You're going to love him. I said, the other one, interesting. And I really had to think about this. I said, so there's times where he says stuff that's kind of disrespectful. He makes jokes that aren't funny at all. And his identity and his persona is kind of the jerk of the group. And after I told her that, I started to think to myself, imagine if somebody had to introduce me as that behind the scenes. What kind of situation, what kind of predicament would I be putting them in? And would I look in the mirror and say, hey, why are you not being a great friend to this friend group? So I really had this conversation with myself. Okay, why is this person in my circle with the way they are currently acting? And eventually I distanced myself from this person, and this person was no longer in my circle. But what Alan and I talked about before doing this episode is the fact that it's kind of taboo for you to look at your friend group and say, oh, you know what? This person isn't the person that they used to be. Or, you know what? This person isn't what's best for my future anymore. Or, wow, I see some flaws in this person's personality that don't necessarily align with who I want to become. Whatever it may be, anything that you see that might not align with who you want to be in the future, but I think it's kind of off limits to do that. And I know a lot of people who have been judged for that. It's like, oh, you're too good for the people who you came up with or whatever. And it's like, no, that's not what it is. I just finally had the courage and the self-worth to say, hey, I don't know if I should be accepting this style of friendship anymore. I don't think that, and really, this is my intention for this episode, many of our friendships are not based on the standards that we have between us or amongst us. It's based on the fact that we went to school together and we were just geographically, throw back to the hyperconscious days, we lived close to each other, and the opportunities were just limited. So
Kev, the large majority of our listeners don't know what gerographically means.
Well, thank you for that.
Can you take us back?
Yeah. So Alan and I had an intro back in the day where we were the hyperconscious podcast, and for some dumb reason, no idea why, we had like a 1.5-minute intro, and I don't remember how did it even come up. I was trying to say geography, or no, I was trying to say geography. I don't even know how to say it now. Geographically.
Yeah.
I was trying to say geographically, and then for some reason we made a blooper reel and then put it as our intro, and it was me saying geographically, and that it's shout out to Amy D. That's one of Amy D's. That was one of her favorite parts of our intro. So that is what that is all about. Okay. But yeah, the goal with, and thank you for pushing me to add context because I forget. The goal of this episode is for you to question why is your circle. Based on the episode we did last week, I want to give you permission to actually do that. In our community, that's always going to be okay. Because I want Alan questioning why he's business partners with me. Right? Isn't that what's
good,
best?
Because I am. I'm just joking.
Hopefully,
I'm kidding. No,
hopefully the answers come back in a positive light.
They do. I'm kidding.
I think that's very important. And as Alan and I have become entrepreneurs and business owners, we have to ask the same thing. Why is this?
I'm in such a giggly mood. It's awesome.
Why is this person in this position? Is it because they're doing a great job, because they've earned it, or because that's where they've been for however long they've been with us? It's a very important thing to ask. And I know it's off limits in maybe some circles. I know it's uncomfortable, but this is your life, and you get one of these things. And you got to make sure the people that are co-piloting your life are the ones who should be driving with you, really.
So my intention with this episode, I talked to Kevin about it in advance, is to share with everyone watching or listening the fact that this, in my opinion, this has been the most challenging part of this journey for me. And I'm going to give a framework, and then I'm going to go back to the emotions of it. If you do have high belief, you will set a large vision. And if you do have a large vision for your future, and the future of your family, the future of the world, then you're going to have large goals to achieve that future. If you do have large goals, you're going to have to set a higher standard for yourself in order to achieve them. Kevin talked on an episode not long ago about a bodybuilder that wants to be, one of the best in the world at bodybuilding. And when they went to the gym together, Kevin was the small fish in the big pond. Mm. And the reason why is because Kevin didn't intend on being a world-class champion bodybuilder, so he has lower standards than this other person. And that's by design. That's okay. So one of the things that is hard for me to talk about is I do think that ever since I was young, I always tended to have, and I didn't understand this at the time, by the way, so I want to make that clear too. I always had a larger vision for my future than any of my friends did. And again, I didn't know that at the time, but I do now. And because of that, I also think that's because of self-belief. And I think my mom always believed in me, and I had a really challenging childhood in many ways. But as far as my mom saying, aim high and you'll have choices, that was a really wonderful lesson. She said, Alan, you can be a CEO or you can be a farmer. I'm going to love you either way. But if you're a CEO, you can wake up one day and decide to be a farmer. It does not work the other way around. So aim high and you'll have choices. And to this day, I think that's the best lesson I've ever gotten. And in many ways, the lesson I'm giving everyone else in my coaching. But so I aimed high. I really took her at her word for that. And I aimed as high as I could. And because of that, I had a bigger vision. And because of that bigger vision, I had bigger goals. And because of those bigger goals, I had a higher standard for what I had to learn and what I had to do and how hard I had to work and all that kind of stuff. One thing that I will also share vulnerably, geographically, vulnerably, is I don't think I had a high enough standard for certain things. In other words, integrity, virtue, core values. So I talk and I tell a story in book club. I told a story in book club recently about how I cheated on a spelling test. And my goal was to get straight A's in high school. It was not necessarily to learn as much as I possibly could and to never make sure I never ever cheat on anything. And so I think core values wise, I lost my way, and I'll be honest about that. But when you have higher standards because you have to in order to hit your goal, picture someone who wants to play soccer for fun versus someone who wants to win an Olympic gold medal in soccer. You end up having to have higher standards, and you end up with higher awareness, at least in soccer in this analogy. And what happens is you grow apart from people. You do. You grow apart from people. And you have less in common. Relationships are built on commonality. If you're out there listening or watching this, and you're a podcaster, you immediately have a ton more in common with us. Mm. And you get it. When we say 1,000 episodes and an episode a day, you get it, and you really get it. And it's like, whoa, right? But if you're not a podcaster, you don't really know what that means fully because you haven't experienced it. And that's okay. I'm not making that wrong. My intention in this episode is to help everyone understand that relationships have always mattered a lot to me. I think what's been most challenging about this growth journey, and I'm now also understanding that this is how our listeners feel a lot, is they feel alone. They feel alone in listening to personal development and tracking habits, and they feel alone in having dreams and goals and being vocal about it. They feel alone in, a lot of their struggles. They feel alone in loving personal development books and wanting to not settle for less. And they feel alone in even questioning their friend group. And I've gotten a lot of feedback from a lot of the listeners that I've been on the phone with lately. And it's like, that's what we're providing, apparently, to them. These are their words, not mine, is a place where they're not alone, where they don't feel alone. I had one listener in particular who I just started working with as a client say, like, that was the coolest part, is that I was so alone before NOU. I felt so alone before being a part of Next Level Nation and being a part of group coaching and now being a part of Next Level Business Solutions. Now I know I'm not alone. And I think at the beginning of this journey, Kevin and I felt a little more alone because we aimed very, very high right at the beginning. Your hero was Joe Rogan, my hero was Tony Robbins, and we were like, what if Joe Rogan and Tony Robbins got together and started a podcast? And it was the worst title of all time, Conversations Change Lives meets the Hyperconscious Podcast, or the other way around, I forget which. So we eventually had to just go all in on one.
Hey guys, it's Ramos, and I am happy that I was in group coaching for a second time. It definitely helps to have accountability and all of that good stuff. I feel like I am constantly going up and down and everything, but it's always good to have someone message on WhatsApp and then a reminder, hey, get back on it. So it was good. I definitely got a lot of good information that I'm going to continue learning because I am a little backed up. But I'm happy that I invested in this because it was investing in me. And even better, I get to meet people that are doing the same exact thing to help themselves. And I need friends and close people around me like that, So yeah, I really appreciated being in group coaching because of the accountability and because of meeting people.
But hyperconscious conversations do change lives, and in many ways that's what we're still doing. But when you're aiming really high and you really do believe in yourself and you really do have goals and dreams that you really do intend on achieving, yeah, you're going to outgrow people. Yeah, you're going to be different. Even if it's not from the frame of outgrowing, you're going to be different. Yes, you're going to have less in common. And the very last thing I'll say before I let Kevin talk here, Zig Ziglar said this once. He was a personal development speaker way, way back. And he said, there's two types of people in the world. You can be a wandering generality like most people, wandering around not knowing who you are or who you aspire to be or what you want to achieve in life or what your core values are, what your core beliefs are, what you stand for. A wandering generality, that's most people, wandering around aimlessly. Or you can become a meaningful specific, someone who knows who they are, knows where they want to be, who they want to be, knows their core aspirations, knows their goals and dreams, knows their values, knows what they believe in, and stays in alignment with that. And I'll tell you what, that I've been both. I've been a little bit of both, and we're all a little bit of both. I'm much farther along on the meaningful specific side than I've ever been, and I'll tell you what, it is more lonely. It is quality over quantity. And I'm grateful for all the people in my life, but I was just on the phone with a client who's become very, very successful, and we were talking about this. Being very, very, very successful immediately means you have less in common with other people. Because most people, statistically speaking, are living paycheck to paycheck, working jobs they don't love, right? The average person is not fulfilled. The average person is not in a magnificent marriage. The average person is not happy, healthy, productive, and have a rich, dynamic, positive life of time freedom. That's not the average. It doesn't mean it can't be. It doesn't mean that we're not working towards that. It doesn't mean the quality of life for the globe hasn't improved overall. But it does mean that if you're going to become a meaningful specific, you're going to deal with this. And you're going to have to look at your circle. And you're going to have to be like, crap, I don't think I can achieve my dreams and stay in this circle. And at least that was my experience. So it doesn't mean I don't love all those people. It doesn't mean I don't wish it could be different. It doesn't mean I don't have, sad days or moments when I miss a lot of that. But it does mean that you have to make that choice. And hopefully it'll be worth it.
And it's same here. I think about it. I think about the past all the time. All the time. I think about it all the time. But I think one of the beautiful things about this, and hopefully the empowering thing about this type of episode, is just like we have the understanding that growth is often painful, that growth will require us to raise our awareness to a point where we're going to see a lot of stuff we didn't before. I think we, as dream chasers, should just try to at least have the awareness and the understanding that, number one, outgrowing people does not make you a bad person. And number two, it's kind of par for the course. It really is. I mean, if you think about it, what are the odds that you grow at the same rate as everybody in your life? Alan's growing faster than I am. That's for certain. But I'm doing my damnedest to keep up. But the goal isn't necessarily to be on the same exact level. The goal is to make sure that the difference is never too big where the rubber band snaps. So I think that's kind of the sweet spot, is like, ask yourself the question of, okay, going back to our episode, whenever we did it, lead, leave, or appease. Can I lead this relationship? Do I have to leave this relationship? Or can I appease this relationship? And your answer, if it's somebody who's like growing at a similar rate and they say, hey, I really want to do what you're doing. Tell me about this podcast. Tell me about this whatever. You can lead. If it's somebody who is just like, look, this is who I am. This is what I want. Maybe you can appease and just say, well, this is what I am and this is what I want, so we're not going to be able to spend as much time together. Is that okay with you? And if it's somebody who's crapping on your dreams and holding you back, then maybe it's time to leave. But I think we have to be okay with the understanding that, and really listen when I say this, not all relationships are meant to be forever. There are very few things in life that are meant to be forever. And if you have that, you got to hang on to it. But it's way less than I think we believe as humans. And I understand that that might not land for people. I am very, very okay with understanding this is part of the game. But I've just seen it so often. And I've talked to people who are just starting and people who are years into this journey. And this is the through line, relationships. And I think the sooner you at least become aware that this is a very real and likely possibility, you can at least approach the situation in hopefully a higher awareness state. That's my goal in this episode.
I have something called the 5-pointed star we've talked about, and I've been doing it with clients a lot, and I'll just share it quickly. I think we talked about it in an episode recently. On the phone with this person, and they do have a lot of self-belief, and they have a big, big, big vision. And I said, listen, are we really, is that really what you want? I just want to make sure. She said, yep. Okay. So what are the goals that we need to set in order to get there? Okay. What are the standards that you're going to need to have? Okay. If you need to have high standards for yourself to achieve that goal, and even then, with a goal this big, it's not guaranteed, you are going to need to have standards for who you spend time with. And trust me, I wish it wasn't that way, but it is. So we did a 5-pointed star. I drew a star on my Remarkable, sharing my screen, and I said, okay, what are the standards of the 5 people you spend the most time with? And she wrote the names. There was 3 10s and there was 2 5s. And I said, can you achieve your dreams at the greatest level if you continue with 5s? And she said, no. I said, okay, you can lead, you can leave, or you can appease. And with the 5s, you got to lead. With the 10s, learn. And the 10s are really good. And she's paying a lot of money to be with some of those 10s. And that's the smartest decision she can make. And she came to me. She's like, should I do this mastermind? It's like expensive. It's like way more expensive, Alan, than your coaching. I said, yeah, you should. You definitely should. One of the best decisions she's ever made. And it's more expensive than my coaching on purpose because Kevin and I are more focused on impact right now and in general. But like those 3 people that are 10s, she's paying to have them in her life. And don't be afraid to pay to play. And of course, be smart about that. Don't use money you don't have. But sometimes you do have to pay to play. And with the 10s, learn. With the 5s, you got to lead or you have to leave. Or you can choose not to achieve your dreams, which, again, is an option as well. It just never was for me. So don't settle. Don't settle. And I wish this was not the case, but it is. And it doesn't mean that you can't ever see these people again. It just means that you are not going to be able to have them as a core true few who you are in the trenches with because maybe they don't want to go to war, so to speak, in this analogy.
Next Level Nation, I know this was a heavy episode. It felt right. When Alan and I were coming up with topics, I don't know if I came up with this. I think we came up with this together. It was like, I think right now is a good time to come up with or to talk about this. I think a lot of us are living our summer lives right now, and maybe we're reconnecting or spending more time with people who we haven't in the past, and maybe this is coming up for you. It's important, it's normal, and it's acceptable. And that was my intention with this episode, is to say, look, everybody deals with this, but I think you just have to have the awareness that not everything is meant to be forever. Unfortunately. But it doesn't mean you can't appreciate the time that you did have together and then go on to do whatever is next for you, and that person does whatever is next for them.
Kev, diamonds are forever.
Diamonds are forever.
I'm just joking.
So they say. I don't know.
Yeah, no.
Really, all it technically has to be is long enough to outlive us by a year or so, and then who would ever know? Really.
If a tree falls in the woods and there's no one there to hear it, does it make a sound?
I think it must.
It definitely does.
It goes wee squeak. That's what it does.
Perfect.
Yeah. Next Level Nation, if you are looking for awesome people to surround yourself with and to grow together with, please join our private Facebook group, Next Level Nation. I'm realizing this more and more every day. Everything that we have created is based on what we needed. That's why I love talking about topics like this, because that is exactly why this community is the way it is. That's why we do the episodes the way we do them. That's why we talk about what we talk about. Everything that we do is based on what would have helped us in our early dream chasing career. So please join our private Facebook group if you are lonely, living in lonely land, and afraid of outgrowing people. There are plenty of people in there who want to grow at the rate you do. Link is in the show notes, and you can also find it at Next Level Nation on Facebook.
So it was many moons ago. It was many years ago. We were part of the Hyperconscious podcast. We had 2 guests on the show that were dating. And one of the man in the relationship, Kevin asked about what books he reads. And he's like, nope, books are stupid.
I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah. And Kevin was like, hell yeah, books are stupid. And we had a rumble about that. A royal rumble, physical fist fight. No, I talked to Kevin afterwards and was like, I think that was one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. Books are unbelievably valuable. And again, I'm not trying to be unkind. I actually like that person a lot who said that. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because, speaking of what we needed in the beginning, more books that would help us get to the next level. We have something called the Next Level Book Club. And of all the resources that I've combed the internet for, research studies, YouTube videos, motivational videos, books, people, mentors, you name it, books have got to be one of the secrets. It's just a cheat code. Kevin and I never ever question downloading a book and spending money on books. I'm assuming we'll have a book budget for our team at some point. So we do book club, Next Level Book Club, every Saturday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yes, it's on a Saturday. So if you want to be a part of a group of extraordinary people who invest their time and effort every Saturday to talk about extraordinary books with extraordinary people, join us. The link will be in the show notes. You register once and you're automatically registered for every single week. You do not have to show up if you do register. You can register, come to some of them, come to all of them, come to none of them. Register, it'll go on your calendar, you'll get an email, and we hope you join us. Right now we're doing Dare to Lead by Brene Brown, and we're on chapter 3.
Next Level Nation tomorrow for episode number 1057. Alan has not even heard the title of this, so this is going to be interesting. What if your purpose is in the past? We're going to talk about purpose and really diving into what it means and where it comes from, and hopefully we'll have a unique perspective for you on that episode. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Please reach out.